And if you listen to this passage, the people were abundantly blessed. They began to understand what it meant to live the glorious life in the extravagance of God's love and grace and blessing. So you see, as you and I seek to live into that glorious life, we have a foundation that says that God will provide everything that we need, that everything comes from God, and His steadfast love endures forever, everlasting to everlasting. We have a focus, and it is God, our praise and worship of God, who is majesty and power, and that worship is centered in giving, and the formula for giving is built upon how much we love. Now, anybody who's ever been in love know how much it costs to give to that person we love.
Yeah.
And yet there's one more part of the framework, and that's the follow-through. A few years ago, I heard a great story. It's about a group of men who fell in love with fishing. They loved to fish. And so they got a little group together of other men who loved to fish, and they started talking about fishing. And pretty soon they started contributing to a common fund so they could bring in expert fisher people so that they could teach them how to fish. And every week they would come together and they would listen to these people teach them about fishing. And they had books about fishing. They knew what lure to use and what kind of water to catch, what kind of fish on what time of day. They got in small groups. And in small groups they studied the books. They learned to make words. They loved fishing. One day they had a new member. And the new member was thrilled at the wonderful teaching. The new member just loved the companionship and the community of people coming together and talking about fishing. And about 3 weeks into the experience, that new person said, "When do we get to go fishing?" And there was silence. They had never gone fishing. They only talked about it. They only studied about it. They only read about it. They only listened to people teach about it. But they never went fishing to catch a fish. You see, that's how it could be for us in the church. We can come and we can talk about God all we want. We can come together and study books, listen to wonderful sermons, sing great songs. We can enjoy each other's company. And we can know everything there is to know about the Bible, and about God, and about the church, and what it all means. But unless we follow through with what we believe by how we generously become a part of God's kingdom and God's blessing and God's miracle, it just seems empty. Today, you have the opportunity to become a part of that glorious life of living in God's extravagance by following through with your own giving, with your own pledge of love, this eagerly, earnestly pleading, "Oh God, I want to be a part of what you're doing." And we give out of a sense of that love for no other reason. That's the form. Because we focus on God, majesty and power, the giver of all, who will foundationally sustain us every day of our life with His steadfast love. Then we will live into that glorious life. What does that mean for you? Let's pray. Gracious and mighty God, Here we are, your people, your beloved children. Thank you, God. Thank you for making it possible that we might be a part of the miracle, that we might be part of the blessing, that we might be partners with you in all that you want to do as we live that glorious life, trusting your extravagance. Here we are, God, your people. Speak to us the words that we need to hear. Hear our prayers. And speak to us. For gracious God, we want to live that glorious life, that we might truly know who we are and why we live.